What is going on, guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you are new here, my name is Lexi. Thank you for joining me in today's video. So, little disclaimer, if I sound a little different than normal, I'm kind of fighting a little bit of a sinus issue. I feel fine, I'm a little congested. So if my voice sounds a little different, that is why. But today we are going to talk all about stage glam. So everything you need to know about putting your look together for show day. I've gotten a lot of requests to do a video on this topic, talking a lot about how to pick out your suit, how to, decipher what your makeup should look like, tan, hair, nails, makeup, jewelry, all the works, everything that goes into your look and how you show up with the beauty essence on show day. So we are gonna get into all of that in today's video. I also have a fun announcement for you guys in this video as well. So without further ado, we are gonna jump right in. And we are gonna start with the most common question I get, and that is, Lexi, how do I decide what color suit I should wear on stage? So whether you are listening to this and you are a bikini competitor or aspiring bikini competitor or a fit model competitor, so that is a brand new division in the MPC this year. So the fit model suit obviously does not have crystals on it. However, you still have to pick a color, right? So regardless of what division you fall into, the biggest question I always get as a coach and just as, an athlete in general is, Lexi, how do I pick out my suit color? So basically what I recommend is sticking with jewel tones, meaning sticking with your blues, your greens, your purples, your reds. I don't recommend, so I don't want to sit here and say that these colors are colors that nobody can pull off, but I would say the quote unquote riskier colors that I would not recommend for a lot of people are going to be colors like yellow, orange, white, black, or like pastels like lilac, lime green. I know that some of these colors are really pretty, and of course there are exceptions to everything. Certain girls can pull off those colors. However, I would say for the majority of girls and for my clients in particular, I always recommend picking out something that has a jewel tone in it. So your blues, your greens, your purples, your reds, mainly because with your suit color, you really want it to contrast and pop off of your skin. Now, red can be potentially risky for some girls. Some girls, with the way their skin kind of soaks up the tan, they have more of a red undertone. So if you do have a red undertone in your tan and you're wearing like a cherry red suit, it may potentially not pop as much. I have actually done red myself. I love red. Newsflash, next time I get on stage, I will not be wearing red. I love red though. It is one of my favorite colors on stage. However, I recommend starting with looking at some jewel tones. My suit sponsor, Competition Bikinis, which I do have a discount code for, I'll put it below. They do offer free fabric samples. So at any time you can go on the website, you can put in an order for free fabric samples and you can get some fabric samples sent directly to you. That way you can put it up against your skin and see what just looks best. So that is what I recommend when it comes to picking out your suit color. Last thing I'll say on this topic is, I know I'll have a lot of girls that will tell me, Lexi, I want to do something bold. I want to do something that nobody else is wearing. But at the end of the day, guys, you shouldn't be trying to stand out in a unique, or, you shouldn't be trying to stand out so much with just the color that you choose regarding your suit. Stick with the suit that is going to complement your skin tone, your hair color, that's gonna pop and contrast a lot on stage. I know a lot of people, they don't wanna do blue because they feel like everybody wears blue, but guys, at the end of the day, it's not a bad thing if you're on stage and a lot of other girls are wearing the same color as you, right? You have to wear the color that's gonna pop amongst your skin the best, and blue tends to be a color that honestly works for everybody, hence why, you see that color being worn a lot. So that is first and foremost the suit. I do recommend ordering your suit no later than 8 weeks out from your show. That way you have ample time to get it in the mail, make alterations if needed. So that is that on suits. So next up, we are going to talk all about makeup. So I love talking about makeup when it comes to show day, personally, because getting my makeup done on show day is my favorite part of the day. I feel like an absolute princess when I get my makeup done. And as somebody who doesn't wear a ton of makeup in my day-to-day life, I wear a little bit, but I don't wear anything as extreme as stage makeup. I just love getting my makeup done. So I'll put a picture above of my last makeup look from last season, but let's talk about makeup and what is acceptable, what is not acceptable, what looks good on stage. So stage makeup is a totally different beast than your everyday makeup. It is also very different than just your going out makeup. I think some people think, oh, I'll just, really cake on the makeup as if I'm like going out on the town and, and I'll be fine on stage. However, guys, your makeup is pretty extreme on show day. In fact, I've had some people tell me that when they get their stage makeup done, their phone doesn't even recognize their face when they're trying to open it up. So let's talk about what's acceptable when it comes to getting your makeup done. Now, if you are a first-time competitor, I highly recommend going through a professional makeup artist for your first time at least. It will totally save you stress, just not having to worry about doing your own makeup. And honestly, sometimes it is such a treat to just have somebody else do your makeup. Now, I'll get into kind of how to find a reputable makeup artist here in a second. But I will say, I do find that some girls, they'll tell me, oh, Lexi, I want to try and do my own makeup. I want to try to save money. And guys, if I'm being very honest, especially if you're only doing one show, if you're gonna do your own makeup, you're still gonna have to go out and buy all the makeup, right? You're gonna still have to go out and buy the foundation, the eyeshadow, the fake lashes, the whole works, right? And by the end of the day, once you buy all of that, it's really not gonna be that much cheaper than if you go through a normal makeup artist or a show day makeup artist. Now, that leads me to how do you find a good makeup artist for show day? So most, if not every show will have a contracted makeup team that you can actually book through the show website. So there is always that option. Those ladies are usually just fine. There are also other kind of big name makeup artists and teams that are at a lot of big shows. V the Makeup Artist is who I have always used. She's phenomenal. Her team is phenomenal. They are pretty much at every big NPC show. And you can go to her website. She has a full calendar of the shows that she and her team are at. I absolutely adore her and her team. She always does my makeup. She always does my clients' makeup. So I'll put some pictures up above of some of the work that she has done on myself and some clients, but I absolutely adore her. I love the work that she does. So in the case though that a big makeup artist like her is not at a show, going through the show company is totally fine. And what I always recommend doing is going to a place like V the Makeup Artist, go to her Instagram, find a couple of makeup looks that you really like that she's done on competitors, take some screenshots and take that to your makeup artist and show them this is what I want. That's generally what I go about doing. And that's also what I do for my athletes. So generally for my competitors, I will go on Instagram. I'll find a couple looks that I really like in terms of makeup. I'll send it to them and I'll say, hey, show your makeup artist this. This is what I want them to do. Now, there's not a ton that you can really, okay, there is stuff you can do wrong with your makeup, but I will say it's hard to kind of quote unquote get it wrong. Essentially, you want a good pop on your face, you want good contour, but you don't want anything to be too loud, right? You don't need a ton of color, you don't need, your eyeshadow to match your suit. I've made that mistake before in one of my very first shows. Basically, you just want your makeup not to be muddy, you don't want it to be washed out, you want it to pop enough so that way it really, brings about that beauty-esque feature on stage. Next up, let's talk about hair, and this is what I'm super excited to talk with you guys about today because I have a special announcement. I am now a part of the Nixie hair extension team. So Nixie hair extensions, they are, I want to say they're based out of California. However, they service nationwide. They sell invisible clip-ins, they sell tape-in extensions. All of their extensions are made from human hair and I'm actually wearing them right now. So I have the invisible clip-ins and they are so easy to put in, but it basically just adds length and fullness in your hair. So I want to talk about stage hair because I do feel like there's a lot of sometimes I think there's a lot of false information about what should be done or what can't be done on stage with your hair. So first and foremost, it does not matter if your hair is long. It does not matter if your hair is short on stage. I think that a lot of girls assume you have to have long hair to do well on stage. No, that is not the case. You essentially, and this is what I tell all my clients, you need to do what's going to make you feel most confident, right? I have seen girls on stage before who have short hair and they wear long hair extensions and they just don't feel like themselves, and that shows on stage, right? So at the end of the day, you need to do what makes you confident. Now, there are a couple do's and don'ts when it comes to hair on stage. Essentially, what I always tell my girls is I don't care as much about the length I don't care as much about the length as I do the fullness. So I generally recommend your hair, regardless of what length it is, should look full on stage. It shouldn't look super thin, super stringy. That's why in the past, and that's why this upcoming season, I will absolutely wear my hair extensions. I've always just worn clip-ins in the past. I've never worn Nixie clip-ins, so I'm excited. This will be a first with the Nixie hair extensions, but I have always worn clip-ins on stage just because it adds a little bit of fullness, and I find that without them, my hair looks a little thin on stage. So you want fullness, and you also want your hair to look really shiny and put together, meaning you don't want it to be frizzy. You don't want it to look like it's super unhealthy, right? It should look shiny, it should look sleek, and it should look full. That's essentially what you want to go with when it comes to the hair. Now, a couple of things that I see girls doing when it comes to their hair that you don't want to do or you want to be careful of is you want to make sure, especially if you have really long hair, that it doesn't fall on top of your glutes. So sometimes on stage, you'll see girls with really, really long hair and it actually sits on top of their glutes. So you certainly don't want it to cover your glutes. If you have long hair, it should come, in my opinion, about an inch above the glutes at the very least. Also, something else to be careful of is if you have like really curly hair and really thick hair, in my personal opinion, if your hair is completely just covering everything, like your upper body, and then you hit your back pose and your hair is covering everything, your shoulders, your back, I think that's a little distracting as well. So essentially, those are a couple things you just want to look out for when it comes to hair. I also have a discount code for Nixie hair extensions, so if you are interested in them, I'll put that below. They are amazing quality. As I mentioned, human hair, you can curl them, you can wave them, you can straighten them, you can wash them. And that leads me also to my last thing on the topic of hair is, should you wear your hair straight? Should you wear your hair wavy? Should you wear your hair curly? Again, this is one of those things that there's no right or wrong thing to do. I generally find that a loose wave looks really good on a lot of girls. However, if you know that your hair falls out really easily, like if you wave your hair and it will, falls out really easily, that may not be the route to go. So maybe straight hair would be your best bet. But I tend to find that straight hair or like a loose wave looks better than like really, really tight knit curls. Unless your hair is naturally really curly, some girls can really rock that on stage. So that is hair. Next up, let's talk about nails. Now, this is in my opinion, this is a very little detail when it comes to your overall stage package in GLAM, but this is a question nonetheless that I get quite frequently about nails. What should you do with your nails? Is there a special color, etc.? And I'll be very honest, guys, I have never looked at anybody's stage shots and looked at their nails. Like, I don't know if this is just a me thing, but seriously, I've never looked at somebody on stage and really like looked at their nails. Now, this is also an area, in my opinion, where you can very easily cut costs. So you do not need to go and get your nails professionally done. Now, if this is something that you like to do and that makes you feel confident and that you enjoy, totally fine. I know some people that love to get their nails done, like they love to get a mani-pedi before show day. If that is your thing, awesome. But also, this is a very easy way you can cut costs. I actually, fun fact, I've never got my nails professionally done before a show. Before, I generally just paint my own nails. And truth be told, you just want your nails to look polished and clean. So I would say to play it safe, do something that's more of like a neutral tone. Don't do anything that's too flashy. You could even do like press on acrylics if you're into that. You don't have to wear fake nails. You could just wear, polish on your nails and just do like a neutral color. You could do a French manicure. But truth be told, you don't need to do anything extravagant with your nails. You just don't want them to be too flashy to the point where they're like distracting on stage. So that is nails. Short and sweet, not really too, you don't need to think too much into the nail side of things when it comes to your stage packet. So let's talk about jewelry. So another kind of small little detail when it comes to your stage package, but nonetheless, it really helps to tie everything together. So, and I also got a good question about jewelry because I realized there are some girls out there, believe it or not, that don't have their ears pierced. Or I did get a question from a girl who mentioned that she was actually allergic to certain silvers. So I always recommend for jewelry to wear a pair of earrings, a bracelet, perhaps 2 bracelets, 1 on each wrist, and a ring. With jewelry, you do not need to spend an arm and a leg on jewelry. You don't need to buy anything fancy. In fact, for my first show, I got all my jewelry off of Amazon. I have my sponsors, the Shoe Fairy and Angel Competition Bikinis. They also both sell jewelry on their websites. Angel Competition Bikinis even has a couple of jewelry bundles, so it's a really good way to get like a lot of jewelry, a good bang for your buck. So I always recommend at the very least a pair of earrings, a bracelet or 2, and a ring. Now with the earrings, I generally will recommend doing a pair of dangly earrings. You just don't want them to be too distracting, but I would not recommend wearing like a pair of studs or hoops. Now if you don't have your ears pierced, I would recommend getting clip-ins. And if you are allergic to certain jewelry, I would recommend trying to find like a hypoallergenic, maybe even clip-on that you can wear, because I do find that the earrings do kind of bring together the package. I have seen girls on stage before that were not wearing jewelry or not wearing earrings, and in my opinion, it did kind of take away a little bit from the package. It just something looked off, and sometimes it took me a minute to decide or to find out like, oh, they're not wearing jewelry. But I do recommend wearing jewelry. There's no reason not to. Like I said, it's not you don't need to go out and buy a super expensive set of jewelry, and I do think it really helps to kind of polish and put together the package. And without further ado, and last but not least, let's talk about that tan, guys. So the tan, in my opinion, I would consider it part of the whole kind of stage glam essence. The tan is actually super, super important on stage. And I'm gonna give you guys a couple of recommendations when it comes to the tan. I have made some mistakes in past shows myself with the tan, and in my opinion, the tan is just so important because if your tan looks really off, I mean, it definitely can take away from your package on stage. And just a little fun fact, I know some people wonder, like, why as bodybuilders do we have to get such an intense tan on stage? And mainly it's to bring out the muscle kind of definition on stage a little bit better. If your tan is not dark enough on stage, it can actually kind of wash you out. And I've known competitors that have gotten feedback before on stage of like, hey, your tan is way too light. And if your tan is way too light, again, it will kind of wash you out on stage and not bring about as much attention to some of your muscularity. So that's why as bodybuilders, we have such a extreme tan on stage. So that is why also you can't just go to your normal like spray tan girl and get a spray tan for stage. I highly recommend go through the host tanning company at a show. Or there are some really awesome DIY options nowadays. So I know the tanning companies that I'm most familiar with, ProTan and Liquid Sunrays, they do make DIY tan kits, and I know a lot of ladies that use those and they have phenomenal results with them. I have tried to use them before. However, I am super, super pale by nature and I can never quite get dark enough with the DIY tan. So personally for me, I just go through the host tanning company at the show. And I always just feel really confident that they are going to get me as dark as I need to be on stage. So the tan is really important. And a couple things that you can do to prepare for your tan is exfoliate, 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 and moisturize several weeks leading up to your show. By exfoliating, you'll rub off any dead skin on your skin. And what happens is if you have any dead skin on your skin and you get your spray tan, the spray tan will pool in those areas where there is dead skin. Another mistake that I have made in the past with a tan is do not get sunburned and have crazy wonky tan lines before you get your stage tan. So if you are competing in the summer, you should be very careful about laying out close to your show, getting burned, getting weird tan lines, because there is only so much the tanning company can cover up. And I remember at my first show ever, I had like this really weird tan line from a swimsuit, and the tanning company tried their best to cover it up, and they did a pretty good job for the most part. However, if you have a really wonky tan line or you are super burned, it can definitely make that tan look really off on stage. I've seen it before. So just some things to consider with the tan. But if I were a competitor, I would go through just the host tanning company, or if you are a seasoned competitor and you've practiced the DIY tan before, you can go that route as well. So I do want to make a point to talk a little bit about stage glam and why, in my personal opinion, it is so important. I know some people, I think a lot of times when you're starting competing, you don't understand how important it really can be to your overall package and your presence on stage. And I think the number one, factor as to why stage glam is so important. So we're talking things like your makeup, your tan, your hair, your jewelry, your suit. Why all of these things can be so important is they really do feed into your confidence as a competitor on stage. So it's not that the judges are sitting there and inherently judging who is the prettiest on stage, right? But I think that we can all agree, especially if you've competed before, that, when you just feel really confident with your hair, with your makeup, or with your tan, or with your suit, with your jewelry, just the whole package, you get on stage and it is so obvious when a girl steps on stage and she is just confident with the way she looks and the way she feels, right? So I think that's a big part of it. And I'll be very honest, guys, like I think if you've been to a show before, I know as a coach, I go to shows all the time, and like it is just very obvious, like you will always see a girl or two standing out on stage just because she looks so flipping drop dead gorgeous and like just has that wow factor and that confidence factor, right? Again, not that you are solely being judged on stage by how beautiful you are, but I think it plays into pulling your whole package together, and I think it really helps with competitors and just exuding that confidence on stage. So now I do want to talk a little bit too about costs, because I did get a question from one of you guys on my Instagram about if I could kind of break down the costs of certain like glam aspects on stage. So in a nutshell, I'll be really quick with kind of going through this. The suit, fit model is going to be very different, but I would say for a bikini competitor, your suit can range anywhere from $500 to $800 for a fully crystallized suit. I would highly recommend, if you're a bikini competitor, get a fully crystallized suit, just because it's very obvious on stage when you see somebody who's not wearing a suit with full crystal coverage. It just doesn't quite pop and glisten as much. So that's kind of typically what the suit range is. The tan, generally, if you go through the host tanner, is anywhere from, we'll say, $150 to $200, depending on how many coats of tan you need. Makeup, if you go through a reputable, if I can talk, stage makeup artist, I would say it can range anywhere from $150 to $200. When it comes to hair extensions, which again, they are totally optional, you could go the more inexpensive route and get some, cheap Amazon clip-ins, which I have totally done before. Sometimes those are a little risky because they don't always match super well or just look the best of quality. Or you can go the more expensive route and, you can do more of the real hair clip-ins. So something similar to kind of what I'm wearing right now. Or I know some people actually get clip-ins, or not clip-ins, I'm sorry, tape-ins or hair extensions sewn in at a salon, and those are obviously a little bit on the more expensive side. So hair is definitely going to range. Now, to be very honest, you can totally cut costs and do your own hair if you want. Again, I do think that having the fullness in your hair is very important, hence why you see a lot of girls wearing extensions. So we've got the hair, we've got the makeup, we've got the suit. When it comes to the tan can range I already went over the tan, I'm sorry. When it comes to the jewelry, like I said, is something that you can very well easily save some money on. You don't have to buy anything super expensive. The jewelry can range anywhere from, $40 to $100, depending on, I guess, the quality that you get. And then, of course, nails, like I mentioned, that's another area that you can kind of cut costs with. So that's just a very rough breakdown of the costs for these certain kind of glam aspects on stage. But again, I do think that the overall glam and your overall look on stage is so important, just when it comes down to your confidence, right? When you feel really confident in how you look, that is so noticeable on stage. Believe it or not, sometimes I don't think that we think it's noticeable, but it really is. As a coach who goes to so many shows and sits there and watches girls on stage, you can just always tell which girls are super confident. One last thing I will make a point to mention that I did not mention earlier on in this video, and you guys, this is very important, so please take note. Do not, I repeat, do not get your face spray tanned. So when you are getting your spray tan for a show, do not let them spray tan your face. Most of the time, host tanning companies at shows, they know better. They do not spray your face. However, I have seen it happen before. I have heard of it happening before, and it does not look good on stage, guys. Your face should be lighter than your body on stage. That's why going through a really good makeup artist is key. They'll know how to contour your face so that it looks good on stage and doesn't wash you out on stage. But do not get your face spray tanned before you get on stage. So that is going to wrap up everything I wanted to touch on in this video. Hopefully this was helpful for you guys. I didn't want to make this too wordy and, long, but I also wanted to kind of keep it short and sweet, but cover all of my base points. If you guys have any specific questions about any of the stage glam aspects, please feel free to comment below. This is all stuff I include in my coaching and I help my own girls with. However, if you are somebody who does not have that help and you just want to, shoot some things off of somebody, or you have questions, again, please comment below. You can always shoot me a DM on Instagram as well, and I'm happy to help out. I really love helping girls pick out their suits. I love helping girls with, figuring out their overall stage look. That's one of my favorite things to help my girls with. So without further ado, I'm going to wrap up this video. I hope it was helpful for you guys. If it was, please do me a favor. Share this video. That would mean a lot to me. I'm sure a lot of competitors out there, especially newbies, could benefit from watching this. All of my discount codes will be below, so if you want to save a little bit of money, they will all be down below in the description box. But you guys, thank you for watching if you have made it this far, and I will catch you guys in my next video.